are some principles from the yesteryears of what constitutes great leadership continue to be? I mean, that hasn't changed. What are some of those elements? So for me, one of those aspects obviously is thinking in terms of continuing to be great at people leadership. That continues to remain. I don't think that has changed. I think your ability to get the basics right when leading a team or when leading a network of teams, I think that continues to be phenomenally. That remains as a quality that's almost absolute must-have in this new era of leadership.
What is different, I think, is personal leadership. So, like you rightly said, people leadership and certain behaviors around people leadership remain the same. So, for example, motivating a team or being able to set clear goals, give feedback, all of those remain the same. What is very different is aspects of personal leadership, and I spoke to some of these earlier.
Yeah.
Some which remain the same are to be authentic, to be self-aware. I think none of these tenets have changed very much in the last few years. What has changed is be willing to say, I don't know, be willing to ask for help, be willing, more importantly, to pull the plug when it is needed without wanting to wait for very long to prove a point. Be willing to take the lead, to collaborate. Now, I know collaborate is a word that can have various meanings for various people, but really be willing to leverage a formal and informal network that you already have, and be willing to leverage it to achieve innovation of meaning, not to achieve results in the here and now, which is what leaders are traditionally very good at. Let's leverage the network to achieve short-term results, but to achieve results which are longer term, add value to the long-term business of the organization without really knowing what benefits it will accrue to us in terms of hard numbers like revenue or profit. I think those tenets of personal leadership have changed in what we are calling as transformational leadership.
That's a great point, because for me, just teeing off on that, so you spoke about it as a personal leadership, right? I see one of those elements. In my head, I think of it as boundary spanning collaboration. How do you cut across different boundaries? It could be boundaries of geography, it could be boundaries of technology, boundaries of even industries. How do you actually cut across those, build coalitions, build mind share across stakeholders? That seems to have become a must-have criteria for leaders of today, the digital leaders. Because in the traditional sense, if you have it, that was a great plus, but you could be a phenomenal leader without that. But today, it's almost non-negotiable. I think that's a big change. And interestingly, I think what we have seen in our line of work is that as simple as it sounds, it doesn't come easily. Because it requires a very good understanding of human psychology. It requires certain skills, conversation skills in your ability to have very critical conversations, land key messages, gain mind share, influence folks without authority. Would you agree with stuff like that?
I want to give you an example. So instead of, I absolutely agree. But more than that, I want to give an example of a leader I'm speaking to, a very senior product leader in an IT product organization. A very interesting conversation. I think he intuitively gets that he needs to collaborate. And like you said, be able to demonstrate boundary spanning collaboration. Work across geographies, work across functions, work across hierarchical levels in the organization. Not only that, For him, the definition of boundary spanning collaboration is also to be able to work with clients, to be able to work with potential partners, and even to be able to work with a community out there who will add value to the product. So he gets it intuitively. We are having a conversation about how will you execute this. While the thought is great and the thought has a lot of meaning for the organization, it will absolutely add value to the organization, what are you going to do about it? He looks at me very puzzled and he says, I'm going to call for meetings, people will come for meetings, and we'll have what we need. When I question that, is it as simple as that? When you call for a meeting, will people come? He says, sometimes they may, sometimes they may not. I said, how long are you going to do these meetings? And how long do you expect to hold meetings and conferences and roundtables where you invite people and you think because you invite them, they will come with a lot of excitement? And very ruefully he admits that my own functional peers don't come to the meetings that I call them to. So the chances of somebody outside of these organizational boundaries coming enthusiastically to these meetings is quite low. Now, like you rightly said, the ability to influence these stakeholders, the ability to give them meaning for why they need to contribute to building this community which will use the product, or just enthusiasm to create a knowledge base of ideas and thought leadership. Why should these people be able to do that? What will enthuse them to do it is a role that he needs to adopt. And he didn't necessarily see this as something that was important. For him, it was a plan. Every Wednesday with clients, every Monday with my functional peers, and every Friday with this community where we make an appearance and they give us ideas, and we are done. That's my plan.